Hello, friends. Welcome back to Feminine Roadmap Health and Wellness. And today we are on our fourth and final video in our skincare series. Today we are going to be talking about beauty mythbusters. We are going to tackle those things that you hear that we think are true, that our mothers have told us, those wives' tales, those things that may or may not actually be true. And to help us out with that information is Christy Hall. She is a board-certified physician's assistant. She's the owner of the cutting-edge medical aesthetic practice Skin Appeal in Tucson, Arizona. She's the co-creator of Mikel Kristi Skincare, and she is the best-selling author of Your Beauty Advocate, a no-nonsense guide to age-defying skincare. Kristi, thank you so much for coming back today.
Thanks, Gina. I'm excited to be here.
Yes. So today, you and I talked before we hit record because I've said before, I've had over 30 years of experience in makeup, which includes skincare. And I myself have had so many women in my chair. And even though I was a makeup artist, I was trying to educate them that skin is the number one thing, right, in makeup. So you and I both have heard it's your career to do skin, but it was part of my career. And there's so many things that people believe that's just not true. And there's a lot of habits that we've developed because our mom told us or our grandma told us or whatever. And so I think it's time that we bust those myths and just give women the information to set the record straight. So why don't we jump right into some of these myths?
Great. Let's do it.
So let's start with one of the ones that I brought up, which is the myths of oily skin. So many women sat in my chair with that crazy oily skin where they're just glassy after 2 hours. And in their mind, or what they were learning, were I should never moisturize, and or I need to use the most astringent products in the world and just take all the oil off the surface of my skin. So let's tackle that oily one first, because that one is a deep and very people are loyal to these myths on the oily skin. So let's talk about the reality of how you actually take care of oily skin.
Great question. Yeah, so oily skin, just like any skin, like we've talked about before, has basic needs. And people who have super oily skin, they're producing the oils mostly from kind of their inside process that's happening. So it might be hormones driving that. Like we talked about, it might be a dietary thing that's driving it. So really modifying the inside if we need to adjust your hormones, or maybe we need to modify your diet by cutting out dairy products or other products that may be stimulating the oil production, like gluten or soy and animal products that are fed with hormones and those kind of things. So that's kind of a mainstay. We do not want to strip the skin of all of its oils, because then that throws the skin out of a balance and then it produces more oil to kind of compensate for that. So we don't want to use strong astringents on the skin. We want to just kind of do really simple skincare that makes the skin healthier, and that's the cleansing of the skin, increasing the natural cell turnover, exfoliation of the skin with alpha hydroxy acid, lactic acid. Using those in itself will help kind of normalize your oil production, whether you're oily or dry, and help your skin produce, less oil, hopefully, with that.
Awesome. Okay. So when we're talking about exfoliation, because that term is another myth that's running about in the market, and I know you're close to my age, you're about 5 years younger than me. So I don't know if you remember that there used to be a very popular apricot scrub back in the day. I don't even know if it's still out there, but it was literally like crushed apricot kernels. For your face. So let's talk about what you mean by exfoliation and the myth that exfoliating in that form is good for you. What does that actually do? If you were to look at your skin under a microscope and use a product like that, what would we actually see?
Yes. Oh, I love this one because I hear this a lot as well. And I have to be careful when I say natural exfoliation or cell turnover. Like people like, oh my God, I need to scrub my skin. And so, yes, I am not a fan of sugar scrubs, salt scrubs, apricot scrubs, whatever you want to scrub with on the facial skin. Now, your skin on your body is a little bit tougher, so it could probably handle it a little bit more easily than your face. But the scrubbing process, and I can always tell when someone comes into me for a consult, I'm like, you scrub your face, right, with a washcloth or one of these scrubs, because they get this sandpapery right around this area here where the skin is really fine and the pores are really small. it looks like sandpaper and it looks textured. And that's because they're constantly creating micro trauma and actually creating scar tissue in that area, because they're constantly irritating and scarring the skin. So yes, scrubbing the skin is not good for it. When we talk about exfoliation, it's about using ingredients that are going to make your skin turn over and its cells more naturally, and doing a natural exfoliation process. So alpha hydroxy acids like glycolic and lactic acid get into the epidermis of the skin and break up the little bonds that are holding the cells together. So that'll kind of increase the natural exfoliation, or make them turn over more rapidly. Like we talked about before, in a young person that happens every 10 to 20 days, in an older person that happens every 100 days. So if you're over, if we're over 20 days, if you're over age 20, then we need to be increasing that natural cell turnover process by putting these ingredients like glycolic or lactic, or even vitamin A in the form of retinaldehyde or retinoic acid, to increase that natural turnover in a safe manner that's going to make your skin look more beautiful and not more damaged.
So when we're talking about exfoliation, why don't you show us what that actually looks like?
Great. So to just refresh the memory, this outer layer of skin is called the epidermis, and the stratum corneum is particularly where all of the dead skin cells lie. And in a young skin type, we see the stratum corneum being fairly thin, around 10 to 20 layers thick. In an older skin type where this natural exfoliation process is not happening rapidly enough, this could be 100 layers thick. And having 100 layers of dead skin cells, it's hard to bring hydration and suppleness and radiance to that skin. So we want to turn over these skin cells more rapidly, so that we're thinning down the stratum corneum, so that the epidermis, when it's producing its moisture between all of these beautiful cells lined up here, that the moisture can come out and moisturize the surface of the skin and not get trapped underneath to cause acne or to create a dry skin type.
I think that's one of those ones, back to what we've said in past videos, is really trusting the process. If our skin has gotten to that degree where it has 100 layers, we need to be patient with the process to reverse what has been happening, right?
Absolutely. And yeah, and I think that's a really valid point, in that you're not going to see the transformation in 1 or 2 days or even a week. It does take about 90 days for any skincare product to really have full effect on the skin. So for you to feel like your skin is producing its own moisture again and feeling hydrated and looking supple and radiant, it really is at least a 90-day process to see that change happen.
Awesome. So there's none of this in 7 days myth. In 7 days, you're going to see a miraculous change.
Well, I think with anything, like it depends on how unhealthy your skin is to begin with. The more unhealthy it is, the more rapid you're going to see improvements. Now, it may go through a detox period, like we talked about, where you're going to get a little flaky, peely, or even break out a little bit before we get to that healthy state. But for some people, like, you can see some improvements within a week or two. So that gets them excited, but you really do have to be patient and give it that time to see the overall effects.
Where it's actually back at the reset point.
Yes.
So consistency is the key.
Consistency is definitely key. Like, we can't just do this. It's like doing your hair. You don't do your hair one time and never do your hair again. So we need to do our skincare like on a daily basis and really keep the skin healthy, because your skin is an organ. It's functioning, and what it's doing is it's turning cells over, and producing collagen and protecting your body like it's supposed to. But for it to be in a healthy state, you have to consistently take care of it and nurture it. And we know that if you're over age 10, it becomes more dysfunctional in those functions. So we have to make it work better by using the right skincare ingredients like we're talking about.
So what's one of the myths you want to bust today?
So one of mine is that moisturizers are the fountain of youth. This is what I hear all the time. I have some people come in and consult, and they're using like 5 different moisturizers, and their skin still doesn't look great, and they still don't like it. And so moisturizers really have no effect on the anti-aging process. Moisturizers can either be humectants or emollients. Humectants kind of draw in moisture from the environment and kind of plump up the skin. Humectants kind of lock in moisture, so you're not losing the moisture to the environment with that. So moisturizers can make your skin look instantly more supple and smoother because you're kind of plumping it out. But it's not actually fixing the problem, which is making your skin produce its own moisture and then stimulating collagen production. Those are the true anti-aging things. So turning that cell turnover, like I'm talking about, that will make your skin produce more moisture so you don't feel like you need to add moisture to it. And then building the collagen layer back up to kind of smooth the surface of the skin so that those wrinkles aren't sunken down anymore. That's what we're going to help as an anti-aging process. So you can have like a quick fix with a moisturizer, but what I like is more of the long-term fix so that you don't wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and say, oh my gosh, my skin looks aged. You wake up in the morning when you have great skin, it's like, oh, wow, my skin looks great. And it's because it's really healthy, and it's about, nurturing the skin with your alpha hydroxy acids every night, the lactic acid, the glycolic acid, the vitamin A in the form of retinaldehyde, which is in our Christy Vital A serum. The Vital A serum has actually both of those ingredients in it that can really nurture the skin and make it healthier.
Awesome. How about myths around sunscreen?
Yes. So you're in California, I'm in Arizona. We get a lot of sun, and I love the sun. And I'm not going to tell you to be, vampire and hide out inside, but we need to learn how to protect the skin from the sun. So the sun is two rays that we have. We have UVA rays and UVB rays. Now, I don't care if it's cloudy, if it's raining, if it's snowing. If you can see outside, you're getting UV damage. And UV damage creates skin cancers. It creates redness, blotchiness on the skin. Some people you see with that deep red discoloration on the neck area. That's a condition called poikiloderma. That's just from chronic sun damage over the years. You'll see some people with really deep wrinkles in the neck or in the face. That's just chronic. It's kind of a leathering, so it's almost another way of scarring the skin. Your skin is kind of protecting itself, so it gets really thick and kind of leathered looking. So the sun really wreaks havoc on the skin. Plus, we get brown spots and things that we don't like to see. When I turned 30, this was like one of the major things that got me into this field because I thought I was doing everything right. Now, I was really bad as a teenager. I laid out, I did tanning beds, I did all of that kind of stuff, and it all showed up when I turned 30. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, what's happening here? I'd seen the dermatologist. I thought I was doing everything right because I was moisturizing. Didn't do anything. My wrinkles showed up, like everything looked bad. And so wearing that sunblock every day to protect areas that are really sensitive to sun will help your collagen not break down as fast. So you won't get as saggy, you won't get as wrinkled, you won't get the discolorations. And especially if we're investing money into good skincare products or doing skin treatments, you really want to protect that investment by protecting from the environment. So sun protection is really important. It needs to go on every day. I tell people to think of it as, if you need to think of it as your moisturizer every morning, or if you want to use it as a makeup and a mineral-based makeup, those kind of things, whatever's going to make you apply it, think of it in that way. But it needs to go on your face, your neck, your chest, and I would do forearms and hands because these are the areas that have the rapid aging from the sun exposure with that. And so most sun exposure that's showing up is not something you did last week. It's something you did 10, 15 years ago. So now's the time to kind of protect from this point forward so that we're not getting more sun damage on the skin. So what we look for is an SPF. The SPF number does not mean anything. It means that you won't get a sunburn. So this is why we have more skin cancers now, because back in the 80s and 90s, we didn't realize that just having SPF on didn't prevent skin cancers. It's the UVA ray that needs to be protected from penetrating the skin. So you can put SPF on and not have a sunburn, but the UVA ray is going right through that SPF down to the deep layer and creating all of this damage. So UVA rays are protected by using zinc oxide or titanium dioxide in your sunscreen. So it needs to be an SPF, don't care what number it is, 20, 30, whatever, with zinc oxide or titanium dioxide at a percentage greater than 4% in that. And that's what we look for.
And that's actually one of those things that's very confusing is the SPF. So you're looking for the UVA UVB protection on top of the SPF.
Yes, but not only that, I don't want a chemical UVA protector. Like there's a lot of chemicals that are affecting our wreaths and not really good for our skin or our health. A lot of endocrine dysfunction with that. So I prefer the minerals that act like mirrors. So they bounce the rays off of the skin versus a chemical like avobenzone that actually absorbs the ray and changes it. There's some evidence that that actually causes free radical damage in the skin as well. So we want it to be more kind of on the pure line of an SPF with zinc or titanium and not all these other chemicals in it.
Okay, so the zinc and the titanium. If you didn't catch anything else, check your sunscreen.
Yes.
Yes. Awesome. So let's talk about, I was looking at our little list here. Let's talk about the concept of cleansers, because I was sharing a story with you before we hit record that I've had customers that have used, I can't even imagine, like basically body detergent soaps that are probably too harsh for the body on their face. And I about have a conniption fit because the skin on the face is more delicate, like you've talked about. But are all cleansers equal?
All cleansers are not equal. There's a lot of very harsh chemicals or sulfates, that are in your cleansers that'll kind of dehydrate your skin. You don't want to use a cleanser or soap that's going to pull the moisture out of your skin or throw the pH of your skin off. The pH of our water is already pretty alkalinic, and our skin needs to be in a more acidic state, which is opposite than the inside of your body. But the pH of the water in Arizona is around 8.5. The pH of your skin needs to be at 5 or 5.5. So already when you're using water on your skin, and then if you use a harsh astringent cleanser on top of that, you're really throwing the pH of your skin off, which then affects the skin's microbiome, which is your healthy, the bacteria and the viruses that live on your skin that work symbiotically with your body to help produce moisturizers, help protect you from the environment. So when you start throwing that pH off with harsh things, then you are going to be more prone to acne, more prone to having eczema or rosacea or, just kind of inflammatory, rashy type skin conditions.
So when someone's looking for a cleanser, then if we're going to bust this myth, what is really adequate? What is all they need to clean their skin?
Michael Kristi. So we have two cleansers. So we use like coconut foaming agents, more plant-based kind of natural agents that are more gentle on the skin, staying away from the sulfates and the sulfites and all of those things that can be really irritating to the skin. You don't want to use alcohol-based cleansers that are going to dehydrate the skin. You don't need benzoyl peroxide cleansers or anything like that. So just really gentle ingredients, maybe something with aloe, something that's very soothing and hydrating to the skin, in addition to, something that's going to give you a little bit of foaming agent that's going to feel like it's cleaning you, but not really dehydrating you. Your cleanser should be able to remove all of your makeup. You shouldn't need to do a makeup remover if you have a good cleanser. I say if you use your fingers and do a good 30 to 60 second cleanse with any cleanser that you're using, that should be effective enough to remove any makeup that you have. And this whole new like double cleanse thing, that shouldn't be necessary either if you have an adequate cleanser. You don't need an oil cleanser and another cleanser. It's like, to me, that's too much work. It's like if you just have a good product, it should do the job.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting trends out right now with makeup and with skincare. So are there any other myths that you run across in your business that you're constantly having to re-educate people about?
Yes. So, how to anti-age the skin. So when we're selecting ingredients that are going to produce the collagen and the elastin in the skin, most people use skincare because they don't want wrinkles and they don't want, these kind of things. But you need to understand what ingredients are going to feed into that. So one of them is like retinol. Retinol is the over-the-counter version of vitamin A, topical vitamin A on the skin. So retinol is a form of vitamin A that will help with turning the cells over, but it's a really unstable form of vitamin A. So we need the vitamin A to actually penetrate and absorb into the skin so that we can get down to the dermis, which is where the collagen and the elastin layer is, and that we can stimulate collagen growth. So retinols are really unstable. Once it sees the light of day or hits the air, it starts breaking down. So you rarely get a lot of collagen stimulation from using a retinol product. So that's why I like anything that converts to retinoic acid. So that's why we use retinaldehyde, which is a plant-based vitamin A, in our Vital A serum. That'll do help with collagen stimulation. It also helps with the natural exfoliation process. And it converts to retinoic acid after it absorbs into the skin so that we're not getting the irritation of a prescription strength version that's just straight retinoic acid sitting on the skin. So that's one of the ones that I think like people get really confused on. Is like, how do you stimulate the collagen and what ingredients do I choose to actually give me the wrinkle reversal that I want? So vitamin A is one of those. My other favorites are vitamin C, peptides, and growth factors as well. But vitamin A is kind of encompasses all of the anti-aging things. So if you want really simplistic skincare, then that's the main ingredient.
One that popped into my head that I haven't heard for a long time is there are people who just use Vaseline on their skin.
Yeah. So Vaseline,
what exactly is happening when you just slather your face with a petroleum product like Vaseline?
So, you know, Vaseline does get a bad name, but it's actually not a terrible product. It's acting as an emollient. So it's sitting on the surface and preventing moisture from escaping on the skin. So, you know, post-procedure, like if you've had a laser peel or something, we do use emollients like that because the laser itself has just now dehydrated the skin quite significantly. So we'll put the hydrators on and then lock it in with an emollient like a Vaseline type product. But using it on a daily basis shouldn't be necessary if you're following everything else that I'm saying, because again, if your skin's producing its own moisture, there's no reason to slather your face in Vaseline to lock in moisture because you're not really losing that moisture because your outer layer is really healthy.
Now, one question that I have is when people are talking about the number of skincare products, I know you have a minimal approach to skincare, but there's kind of this conversation out there in the beauty world that your skin can take up to 5 layers of skincare products. And after that, you're not getting any benefit. Do you have an opinion or a thought or even proof about the layers of skincare products and whether or not that's the way to go about it? And does it even make a difference?
You know, that's an interesting one because it depends on the skincare product that you're using. You know, another way of looking at skincare products is we have over-the-counter skincare products, we have prescription strength skincare products, and then we have something called cosmeceuticals. So the difference in those is that prescription strength and cosmeceuticals are actually formulated in a way that are going to absorb into the skin and actually get down and do their change. So with those, you could layer on 10 of them because we know that every one of them is going to absorb into the skin. If the products are just sitting on the surface of the skin, then they're not really going to affect the change that you want to see. You know, so sometimes you'll put like a cream on and it still feels like it's there an hour later. You know, it's that waxy feel on the skin. It's not absorbing into the skin. It's just sitting on the surface. You know, so when you're investing into a skincare program, it's good to buy a product that may cost a little bit more because we've put a little science behind it. We know that the ingredients are going to penetrate into the skin and reach the levels down in there that we need to affect the change on the skin. Whereas some of the over-the-counter products, you know, they may have great ingredients like the retinol, but it's just sitting on the surface and it's not really doing any change because it can't absorb into the skin. The other side of that is some of the over-the-counter products use very harmful chemicals to make their products absorb into the skin. So like antifreeze type products and things like that. And that's not really healthy for your body. You know, we know that there's a lot of endocrine dysfunction from you know, affecting your hormone levels and maybe some reproductive things that can happen from these kind of weird chemicals that we get in our skincare. In the United States, there's not a lot of regulation behind what's in your skincare products. So I think this is something that's important to, especially if you have kids and you're slathering them in weird things, moisturizers, body soaps, whatever. I mean, there may be things in there that are really not healthy for them. We at Michael Kristi formulate on EU standards. The European Union is the strictest in the world for the safety of their ingredients that go on the skin. So I think it's important to choose something that we know that's going to be effective. So the layering doesn't really matter. The way that we do ours in our core collection, we have 3 serums in there, and I'd say just mix them all together, because the way we formulate them, each molecule is wrapped into this liposome that actually pulls it into the skin, so you can just mix them all together without diluting the effectiveness of it, and that way it just kind of makes it really fast and easy, and you don't have to do a layering process unless you like to do a layering process. Like I said before, I'm kind of lazy and I just don't want to spend that much time doing it. So I want it done fairly rapidly. Some people like to take a 30-minute process, which is not bad. It's a self-care thing. And that's probably a good idea. But, that's kind of something to think about as well.
Okay, cool. Do you have any other myths that come to mind that you maybe come up? Because I know you're like active in the field. I'm a little more removed. So I'm wondering if there's any other myths I'm unaware of.
That facials can replace your daily skincare. I think a lot of people feel like, oh, I do a facial once a month and then I don't need to invest in any skincare products. I kind of relate that to your teeth, where you need to brush them every day. You can't just go to the dentist twice a year and have a cleaning and then not brush your teeth on a daily basis. So I think that's a big myth. Also along the facial line is that facials are great for your skin. Facials can be nice for your skin as long as I consider them more on a medical grade, where we're actually doing something, or exfoliating the skin, or we're, cleaning out pores or something like that. Whereas a lot of facials, they're just kind of giving you a massage and putting stuff on the surface of the skin. And again, unless they're using products that actually can penetrate and do some change, they're not really doing a whole lot for you. So I always tell people, like, if you're kind of on a budget, to invest in a better skincare regimen, maybe a little bit higher quality product that's going to deliver you the results that you want, and maybe not put the investment into facials unless you want that to be an adjunct and you just like the relaxation of it. I would say, for me, I rarely do facials, and I have estheticians here that do facials, because some people love it. But if you really want to make a good budget for yourself, good skincare on a daily basis, and then, like we talked about previously, doing a laser or something that's going to really do that deep stimulation that we know scientifically that that's doing a major change on your skin. So for me, doing an investment like that at least once a year is going to be a whole lot more effective than just doing facials on a monthly basis.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure there are more myths that will pop up, but I wanted to thank you so much for sharing, information to balance out, because it's so hard to know where the truth lies. And, and sometimes, like you were saying, using a product can make your skin look better. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think what I hear you saying is, if you want to go deeper and actually have long-lasting change, that's where these steps that you share become impactful. If you really want your investment to have a long-term benefit, then that's where investing in the treatments and getting involved. So if someone wanted to ask questions or find out what is a good fit for them, how would they go about doing that?
If you'd like to have more information or even communicate with me, go to skincaremk.com. If you'd like to buy products, use code MKRTribe3 to receive 10% off your entire purchase. We also have a skincare concierge on there where you can send me a video or just a voice thing, and you can ask questions and I can help you with any skincare concerns that you have.
Excellent. So friends, I want to invite you to subscribe down below. All the links that Kristi shared are down there, so you don't have to memorize anything. You can just go down below and everything you need is there. As always, we want to thank you, Kristi, for bringing your expertise and your voice and bringing clarity to the things that for us women can sometimes be so overwhelming. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
So friends, don't forget, if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out to Christy Hall at skincaremk.com. And if you have any comments, you may leave them below. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share this powerful information with your friends. And we have 3 other videos that we've done, and I will put those links down below so that you don't miss out on any of this awesome information. Thank you so much for joining us today, and have a great week.